Today we are going to be roasting pumpkins. So I've got a pie pumpkin here from the garden. We're going to be roasting it in our oven to get it ready for either freezing or canning. So to put up my pumpkins, I love roasting it in the oven to get it ready. It's really easy to do, doesn't take a ton of time in which you're heavily involved. So the biggest thing is you have to wash it first, get all that dirt off from the garden. So you're gonna wash it really good with a little scrubber in the sink, get all that dirt off so that way your skin is nice and clean. Then after that, you are going to cut it vertically in half. So you wanna cut it vertically, that way the seeds are easy to scoop out. If you were to cut it horizontally, it'd be really hard to scoop out the seeds that are kind of attached along the stem path through the pumpkin. So you wanna make sure you cut it vertically to where the stem would come out, cut right down right there. Mine are easy to do because my stems fell off when I picked them from the garden. If you can't get your stem off, you do just want to make that cut through there and back around to your stem, and then you'll still be able to pull it in half. Once you cut your pumpkin vertically, go ahead and scoop out all of the seeds and all of the stringy bits. That way you get all that out before you bake it. You don't want any of that in your pumpkin pies later. So scoop out all the seeds and then you're ready for the next step. You're going to be baking this in a dish that preferably has like an inch or so high wall. You want that wall to contain all the juices or different things that come out as the pumpkin is roasting. So that could be a 9x13 glass pan. I have a 9x13 cast iron pan. You could use a cast iron skillet, a cake pan, whatever you've got available. You don't need anything fancy, just a pan with a wall and you're good to go. So once your pumpkin's ready, go ahead and place it in your pan. If you want to, you can line your pan with parchment paper to make it really easy for cleanup. I like to do this when I'm not using my cast iron pans. So once you have your pan ready, go ahead and place your pumpkin half skin side down so the hollow part of the pumpkin is facing upward. You're going to drizzle olive oil all over the inside of the pumpkin, rub it in with your hand, get it all coated really nicely, and then flip it over so that way the skin side is up. That's going to create a steam pocket while it's roasting in the oven. So I like to take my hands and just rub, because they have olive oil all over them, rub the outside pumpkin skin as well and get that nice and coated. You don't have to add any extra. Do the same for the second half of the pumpkin. If you're using a 9x13 pan, they generally both fit in that pan, which makes it really easy. So go ahead and do the same for the second half of your pumpkin. Coat the inside of it really well, then flip it over so it's skin side up. You'll preheat your oven to 400 degrees and then put your pan with your pumpkin halves skin side up into the oven. You're going to want to roast these for anywhere between 40 to 60 minutes. If you have a larger pumpkin, it's going to take a little longer. If you have a smaller pumpkin, it'll take a little less time. To tell your pumpkins are done, they are going to have a little bit of a bubbly skin. You might see some browns and just like it's cooking through, it's roasting. So kind of that roasted look. But the easiest way to tell for sure is to actually test it with a fork. So you'll just want to grab a fork, go ahead and pierce this through the skin and see if the meat of the pumpkin is tender. You want that to be nice and tender and then you know it's done. So then just pull your pumpkin out of the oven, set it on the counter somewhere and let it cool. It's going to need to cool for an hour or two till you can actually start to work with it. I like to freeze my pumpkin. You can also pressure can it, but I don't have a pressure canner, so it's not something I've ever tried. And freezing it is really easy as long as you have the freezer space. You can freeze it in like 2-cup portions, which is what you usually need for, say, a pumpkin pie recipe or a pumpkin bread recipe. So once your pumpkin is cooled, you should be able to easily scoop it out with a spoon. You want to keep it in larger chunks because that's going to freeze the best. Or if you are pressure canning it, you do want those chunks as well. So you don't ever really want to try to freeze pumpkin puree. It's super hard. If you did it in a Ziploc bag, I guess it would be okay because you can control how you're getting air out of that. But I really enjoy using a food saver. So with that, it has the vacuum seal technology. And so if you take a puree and put it in the vacuum seal, it's going to pull all of the juices out, flood it, make it make weird noises. It's disastrous. Please don't try it. So just keep it in those chunks and then measure it out to that I like to do the 2-cup. So I do 2-cup baggies, pumpkin chunks. So when you're scooping it out, just be mindful of that. Don't try to like mash it up or anything like that. You want it to stay in chunks. Keep an eye on it while it's doing its vacuum sealing. If it starts to pool a lot of juices, I will sometimes just go ahead and cut it off as long as it's got most of the air out. That way I don't flood my machine by accident or anything like that. So once it's all vacuum sealed and it's good to go, I like to actually smush it down flat. That way it takes up less space in the freezer and it looks nice and it's easy to organize. And that's pretty much how I roast my pumpkins. So super simple. Cut it in half, stick it in the oven for a while, let it cool off, scoop it out, all that, and then you just have to decide how you want to preserve it. Of course, you can use it right away, make some pumpkin pie, pumpkin bread, pumpkin muffins, pumpkin pancakes. There's so many different options. So thanks for joining us over here at Steiger Family Farms. Again, you can find us on our website at steigerfamilyfarms.com, where I'll have the blog posts with the specifics of how to roast a pumpkin, and pretty soon I'll be getting up some pumpkin recipes for you to enjoy too as we are heading into our fall season. Have a great day!